In today's episode of the RAG podcast, I interviewed Marc Sumner, who's the CEO and founder of Robertson Sumner, a 20-year-old IT sales and technical recruitment business based out in Gerrards Cross, but originally started off in Surrey. He's now, after 20 years, got to 20 staff, and he's been really open and honest about the growth and how they got there, but now wanting to take that to the next level. They're about to sign a new office lease, so it's going to give them the opportunity to grow to 40, and then look about globally about how they can expand into the US and other regions. I really enjoyed the podcast. This guy, I'll be brutally honest, he responded to a message yesterday when I was let down by somebody else to last minute come in and tell his story. We had an initial chat a few months back about it, and he came with a smile on his face. He said, look, I'm going to be honest, and we had a really good time. The guy was refreshing. He told me about what went well, what didn't go well, what he's good at, what he's not so good at, and again, another refreshing insight into what the life of a recruitment owner can be all about. So, hope you enjoy it. Without further ado, Marc, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in at such short notice. So, Marc responded yesterday to my cry on LinkedIn. There was a chap who's been booked in for a few weeks. He did, to be honest, he had some really tough personal circumstances. So, if you're listening, mate, obviously this isn't a dig at you, but it did leave me in a sticky situation. We talked about it in the past.
We had, yeah.
No, there's no reason why it didn't happen yet, but I'm delighted to have you in.
No, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
No worries. So Marc, as I've told you, obviously, the RAG podcast is all about your story of growth. I've given a little introduction to you, but for the listeners, it always comes across better from you. Can you give us an indication of who you are today, who's your business, etc.?
Okay, yeah, Marc Sumner. I'm CEO of Robertson Sumner. We're an IT sales and technical based recruitment company based in Gerrards Cross. 20 staff and been going for 20 years.
20 years. Wow. How fast has it gone?
Ancient recruiter now. Dinosaur recruiter.
How fast has that gone?
Yeah, it has gone really, really fast. Really fast. Yeah, the first 10 years literally went like that.
Well, I'm 2 years into this journey, and it's like blink and a month goes. And I always thought recruitment was fast when I was an agency recruiter, but now it's like, where's that month or that quarter gone? 20 years must be like, whoa. Yeah,
no, it is. Yeah, I was 21 to coming up 22 when I started. So
wow, so you started it really early.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is that where you live, over in Gerrards Cross?
Yeah, I live in Gerrards Cross. I didn't originally come from there. I was a Maidenhead boy originally.
Yeah.
And I worked at Mandeville, who were bought by Randstad.
Yeah, I used to work for Randstad.
Yeah,
that's where
I started as a sales recruiter for them, which was great. Worked for them for about 14 months before I started.
Wow, so that was an early kick on to do it yourself.
Yeah, it was. I actually started my career in recruitment working for an industrial temps agency for about a year. So doing meat packers and factory workers and grave diggers, and I worked for them for about a year, and then I went into Mandeville, which was in Maidenhead at the time, and I was like, look, I want another job in sales. I don't want recruitment. Hate recruitment. Want to get into a sales job. It was actually something like Thompson Local or something like that I thought I'd go and do. And the MD came down and he offered me a job then. I was quite reticent about going to doing it, but he convinced me that it would be totally different from meat packers, which it was, white collar workers. And then I worked there for 14 months.
It's not long though.
No, it wasn't. Funny enough, I actually joined them, and after about 3.5-4 months, I went commission only as well. So there are two sides of the business. You could join with a basic and 10%, or you could go commission only. And I had real success early on. My first couple of months, I did really, really well.
What's the commission when you didn't get a salary?
50%.
Right, well, yeah, it's a big chunk, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive chunk. In fact, it might have been 60%, in fact. It was a huge chunk of money. And I was doing quite well. So I started in the September, and by the January, I'd gone commission only for them. And I did that until the end of the year, and then
what were you billing that year?
Probably about 350, 400, something like that.
So you would have took home a couple of 100k.
Yeah, I think
at the age of 20 years old.
21, yeah. I took home 200k the first year. Spent it all. Spent a lot.
What was your life like then?
Oh, it was great. I remember going. I think my first big paycheck, I went to Camberley Auctions and bought myself a BMW. And in those days, £14,000 was...
Yeah.
£14,000 now
it's a lot of money now, yeah.
But 20 years ago, going to buy a car for £14,000 cash was fantastic. So yeah, it was a great company to work for, really nice people to work for as well. But yeah, the lifestyle was really, really good. And Did that for a year, and then at the end of the year, my aunt.
So 50% wasn't enough. Is that what you're telling me? Because you were kind of working for yourself at that point.
To be fair, I was, and I was actually really, really happy with it. But my auntie, who owns an agency as well,
right,
who started it in the 80s, she almost sort of said to me, she said, "Look, you've almost got the basis of a company there. You know, even though it was just me, I was earning, you know, lots of money." She sort of said, "Look, if we can get some credit, you know, the credit control facilities and get a couple of people with you, you could start." And I was quite apprehensive about doing it because I was earning a lot of money. I was enjoying who I worked for. I was virtually working for myself anyway. But she sort of gave me the kick to think, do you know what? Yeah, I could probably work for myself.
So young though, so young.
Yeah.
I didn't get into recruitment until I was 25, and I started my agency when I was 30. So I did. Was it 25 to 30? No, that's not. Is that true? No, I was 31, I think. But yeah, 5-6 years or so, and that I still wasn't sure at the time. I was like, you just got to go for it. Whereas you, I mean, you were earning so much money, and the fact you were on a salary probably made it feel like it was like a logical thing to do.
Yeah, it did, and I was confident that even if we started from scratch, that we could probably get 200 or 300k on the board anyway.
Yeah.
So I was sort of confident we had a basis of a company. But there was still that apprehension because I was earning good money. I was enjoying the people I worked for. I didn't really have any aspirations. Didn't really need to do it. And it was only because my auntie sort of gave me that nudge and said, "Look, you've got something. You could probably go and do it for yourself."
So what month was that like? Is that around Christmas time?
I left in the Christmas of 99 and I started in the January of 2000.
So the millennium didn't end the world. Were you sat there on New Year's Eve like, if the world ends, I've got loads of money and no job?
Yeah, exactly. No, it was good. First day, I remember going in the office the first day and I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
You know, it literally was peeling stickers off the walls.
Was it her office?
No, she lent me the money and we got an office in Milton Staines.
So you had no money when you started it, based on the fact you'd earned that much and you just gone out and enjoyed it?
Yeah, my lifestyle went from there to hero to zero. So, and I was just getting married as well that year.
Oh wow!
So it was.
You did a lot of things young then, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I did.
I'm getting married next month.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, congratulations.
It's getting serious now.
Scary.
Shitting myself now. Honestly, like this weekend we sat down. We stayed at a hotel in Liverpool Street, the Andaz Hotel, the Hyatt.
I don't know. No.
Well, we live in London and we live in East London. Whenever you go away, you go to a hotel, right? And then you think to yourself, or I do anyway, I'm quite a natural traveller type that I don't want to stay in my hotel room. I want to go out and see the city and stuff. Mm-hmm. And we both said, do you know what? Why don't we do something different and actually stay in London where we don't give a shit about going outside because we're there every week anyway.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. And especially Liverpool Street, because we live out in Essex way. It's like we're always at Liverpool Street. So I didn't leave once. I went in there and I chilled out and we had like a massage and all this crap and had loads of nice food. It was great. But the reason I'm telling you is it gave us the time to sit back and look at what we've achieved so far in the whole planning of a wedding.
Fantastic.
And what we haven't.
Yeah. What's more to do?
Well, there's so many things to do. So if anyone's listening and they want to help me with a free wedding planning service, then just contact me on my email. I'll put the link in the comment. But so you were 21 years old. Mm-hmm. You just started the agency. Yeah. And tell me, why did you start the name Robertson Sumner?
In the days of when James Calum was starting his company, and there was a lot of companies around where they were having two names, double-barreled surnames.
Yeah.
And I didn't really, Hamilton Bradshaw, and there was Alexander Mann. There was all these sort of companies were popping up, and I didn't really want my name in it. To be fair, my auntie seemed to want her name in it more than I did, but she lent me the money, so we just thought, we'll put. And she obviously wanted her name first. So
what was her agency that she had before?
She had an agency, high street agency called Plum Personnel.
Plum Personnel. She didn't get her name in that one, you see.
No, she didn't.
So she always wanted that. And
so maybe it was just a reason to get a name in. But I just thought it was a good idea to have two names, and in the end, it was like, let's just call it Robertson Sumner.
It's cool. So genuinely, we started, but let's dig deeper in. What was the reality of the first few weeks and months like?
To be fair, it was really exciting the first few weeks. I'd started contacting some of the old clients that I'd dealt with before.
No restrictive covenant on there.
To be honest, I didn't care. And that's the honest truth, Sean. I was like, I'm going to go after him anyway. Yeah. And also as well, I was going after the clients that the other guys had gone after in the company as well. Because when you've got no clients on the board, you've got a lot of time to think about what you're going to do. Yeah, so it's like, literally, I'm going to call everyone. So I started to get some jobs on. And we probably did our first deal it probably took about 6 weeks to do the first deal because no one had ever heard of us, and we were getting terms agreed and vacancies on, etc. So we probably didn't send an invoice out till end of February.
It's not bad though.
So it'd probably been about 7 or 8 weeks before we actually got an invoice out, and then it did snowball from there. And we were lucky because we at the time I would do any sales recruitment at the time, and Bupa were in Staines. And I remember walking into Bupa and I landed that contract, and that was brilliant. And as soon as we got that, we were off, which was a big deal for us. So they were only about 500 yards from our office, and they were dealing with my previous company, and then they started dealing with us. And even though I think it was only like £2,000 a placement, something like that, but we started making a few deals with them, and it really started going in. And
so you say we, was it just you, or was there anyone else?
I actually got a friend to work for me
straight from day one.
Straight away from day one.
What did you pay them on?
Yeah, I did pay them. Yeah.
So they had a salary, they weren't equity.
They had a salary.
Was that your auntie sorted that out?
Yeah, so a basic plus commission, and the guy's still with me now today.
Really?
Anthony, still works for me. So Anthony, well done for being for 20 years.
Wow.
So yeah, he's still in the business.
What does he do now?
Still does the job. We still do recruitment.
Really?
Yeah.
Still loves it.
Still fighting it. Still fighting out there, making
Anthony,
those deals.
Anthony, we salute you, mate. I don't know who you are, but I love that story. Maybe we should get you on this podcast and get a different version of the 20 years.
So that was it was.
So there's 2 a year. You start knocking in deals in Staines, and what did you do in year one? What did you build?
Something like, I think it's about 200k, 230k.
Which isn't bad.
Yes, it was something like maybe 200k. I think something like that.
How did the wedding go?
I got divorced a couple of years later.
Really?
So not that good.
The wedding went well.
The wedding was good, but not that good. But no, it was. And I just moved into a house as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things went on that year. But I think at the time, when you're that young, you've got aspirations, but also no fear. You think actually let's just go for it.
And you got energy that.
Yeah, you got energy. You got no fear. And what's the worst that could go wrong? You know, if I'd gone bankrupt,
go and get a job.
Go and get a job, go back in recruitment. So it was. It was a really, really exciting time.
What was the office like?
Small office above a cafe.
Really?
Yeah, above a cafe.
Get a good bacon sandwich downstairs.
Above a cafe in Staines High Street, opposite a pub.
Really?
So there's only four desks in it.
It is one of those. We started off in a Regis business lounge, and I did hate it towards the end. I'll be honest. That used to kick us out at like 5 o'clock, and but I ended up having within 6 months I had 9 staff. So I needed creatives and stuff doing the work. So we took over that place, and I only paid for 2 desks. So I just had 9 people turn up every day, and they let it happen. Thanks, Regis. And then we moved to our first dedicated office, and at the time that was dead exciting. And then at the end, I felt like I was ready to leave. And I'm still in love with this place. We've only been here since March, but you do you just enjoy it for what it is at the time, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, great time. Great
What were the biggest challenges that first year? What didn't go so well?
Do you know what, Sean? I'd say nothing. It was just a really exciting time. We had loads of energy. It was fun. We were making deals. We were getting into new clients. You know, big names as well.
Were you working
RAC, TNT at the time.
Were you working full time, or taking days whenever you wanted? How did you live?
No, working full time. Yeah, working full time. Still having holidays, etc. But
well, yeah, that's a question. I get asked a lot of that. When you start a business, how do you do what you've always done for your client, or do you start working from home or part time? And everyone has their own take on it, I think. But I think you naturally behave a bit like you did in your job because you think that's what work is, right?
Yeah, I think. I couldn't agree more. I did exactly the same as I did for my previous company. Get in there. Getting in at 8, half 8, working till 6, and then to take calls after work or whatever it was needed. But I still saw myself as the same recruitment consultant I was for the previous company, just for a new name, which was my name. So that's how I saw it.
So how did year 2 progress?
Year 2 was good. Yeah, in the first year we took on a member of staff as well. So there's sort of 3 of us for the first year, and we carried on like that. We probably carried on that for 2 or 3 years. It was almost like earn money, spend money. It wasn't really any thought for the future. It's literally we're in recruitment, we're going to make deals, and then we're going to spend deals, and then we're going to go on holiday and spend it all. So for the first 3 or 4 years,
you're that age as well.
Yeah, and up to the age of probably for the first 5 years, I did that. There was probably 3 or 4 of us for the first 4 or 5 years, and we didn't really have any aspirations of growing. It was more about let's just make a load of money and let's spend a load of money and just have fun. And I'd got up to about 26 years old by then, and we'd been going 4 years, and there's still three or four of us.
What challenges did you face with people? Because that sounds great, but I imagine it's not that easy to get people bought into and delivering at that same pace you were when you're kind of running at it.
Yeah, and it wasn't, and that's why almost it was literally 3 or 4 of us just working so closely together, not really thinking about it. So we weren't really planning, or we weren't strategizing about how we were going to grow. It was literally, let's just make some deals, let's just make some money, let's go to the pub afterwards, enjoy it. And it was a crazy time, really. It was a really crazy time. And that first 4 or 5 years flew.
Where did you get your talent? Where did you get recruiters from?
Just no experience. So
just
local people. One was a guy came in. Actually, shout out to Sean, he's in Texas now. I'll send this to him. He's a recruiter out there. I remember him coming in as a temp at 19, wanting £6.50 an hour. It's like, great, come in, get him in, we'll teach you how to recruitment. So just young talent who'd never done it before, who wanted to learn. And that's how we did it, really. And then we only started really trying to grow probably in about 2005 for the first 4
So what changed?
I think I'd got to the point where I was mid late 20s. It was great. You feel like you've got a company, but you haven't really got a company. There's 2 or 3 of you isn't really a company. It's more
you're
just
self-employed, really.
Yeah, you're just a commission-only guy yourself, or a recruiter, but it's under your name. So I think it got to the point where I thought, actually, let's start growing it. We started doing quite well as well. We'd got up to maybe £500,000 at that point. And we thought, right, let's actually start growing and start investing in it. And so we started taking on 2 or 3 more people, and we probably got up to about 6, 7 by the time we got to about 2006, 2007, which come with its own challenges, because I was still fronting a lot of the deals. I was still doing a lot of the closing of in fact, I was doing the closing of every single deal. So I tended to...
So what were they doing? The researching?
They were doing a lot of the resourcing, etc. They were making interviews, etc. But a lot of the relationships and the new business was coming from me, and I'd sort of ship it out. And we got to the point where we'd sort of train these guys, and again, it was still really much fun. There were still sort of 6 or 7 of us still trying to grow, etc. But they were trainees, and then we had an office junior who was doing our accounts. A young girl called Sarah who's worked for me for 4 or 5 years. And yeah, again, it was still an exciting time. And then we actually had an office change for the first time.
So you moved?
They moved. And at that time, it was like, yeah, we're not going to get a 4 or 5 man office. We're going to get a 10 man office. And that prompted, again, the actual trying to actually scale a bit. Because until then, you're caught in the bubble of just earning money. So
there was no initial vision, values, any of that. It was just go for it.
Yeah, it was just go for it.
And then so after 5 years, did you start thinking about that kind of stuff then?
Yeah, I think we started thinking we've got something. We'd had some good successes. We'd moved more into doing IT, so we dropped the boopers and the TNTs, etc., because of the low margins, and we started maybe focusing on more of IT companies where.
What was going on in IT at that time? Because obviously now everyone knows about it's all about SaaS companies and the Silicon Valley and all this startup heaven. But what was it like 15 to 20 years ago?
Yeah, it was completely different. There was big distributors in those days. If anyone's old enough to hear about where CHS Electronics were trading, Metrology and companies like that, and it was very, very much different. And Softcat, who's now one of the biggest resellers in the country, they were minute. Really? They were 8, 10, 15 people in Marlow those days. So it was very difficult to get into those companies, and they very much wanted people with books of business at the time. SaaS companies, they were non-existent. We weren't going after companies like that. It was literally like, are you selling tin? Are you selling computers, hardware, laptops, desktops, etc.? Yeah, so those are the companies we were going after, and we started to concentrate more on those and drop the more commercial companies. And by 2006, we were literally only doing IT. Yeah. That's all we were doing. We were only selling salespeople into technology companies. And then we'd got the new office.
Did you feel like there was a change in the market though, that tech was going to be big? Did you think future, I'm setting myself up for a long term here rather than going in an industry that was potentially declining?
Honestly, no. I didn't even think about it. It was literally, could we get better margin roles from tech companies, and that was the decision.
And what was the margins you were?
It was 20%. Good fees, etc.
Yeah.
But when we were dealing with the commercial companies, courier companies and
10-12%.
Yeah, and it was just like hard work for not a lot of money. And we just felt that if we concentrated on being a bit more niche, yes, we were a sales agency, but we really weren't specialising in anything. So we were just getting any salesperson anywhere who wanted a salesperson. So I thought it would be better if we concentrate on the market. And was it conscious? I don't think I put a strategy behind it. It just felt, actually, we're going to get more money out of IT companies, and it's a bit more value to the market. So we decided actually to purely specialise in IT companies.
So that was in 2006-ish?
2005, 2006, yeah.
So then how did the next few years? Because obviously we're coming up to the...
Really good.
2008 crash.
Yeah, really good until then.
Yeah.
So by then I'd got to about 11 staff.
Right. And where was your new office?
It was in Walton-on-Thames, in Surrey.
So you're still that side, right?
Yeah, still in Surrey. And it was going really well. So, we got, probably $750,000, something like that then. We'd started investing, and we'd taken on 3 or 4 staff literally just before for the crash in 2008. So 2007, I'd invested all my money in hiring new staff and salaries, etc. And my wage bill was as high as it's ever been. And then in I remember it's September 2008, the wheels literally fell off the market. I remember looking at the news about Lehman Brothers, and I was thinking, is this going to affect us? I don't know. And within a month, my God, it affected us.
Really?
It really, I'd been profitable every year up till then. And I think maybe at the time in that September, we were probably 6 months in, we were probably about 100K profit up. And I was thinking, great. By the February, I was £60,000 down.
Really?
In salaries. And I remember going in January, and I just thought, right, something's got to give. And probably the worst day in my recruitment history, that I had to make 7 people redundant in my company in one day. I looked at it and I thought, I can't do another month of carrying these salaries. It's just impossible. So I remember calling them in.
How did they take it?
To be fair, they took it well. Cause, some of them I hadn't worked with them for a very long time, because we'd just invested. 4 of them they'd only been there sort of 3 or 4 months. But 2 or 3 of them had been there over a couple of years, and I had to get rid of the office manager, etc. And I literally went down to just 3 recruiters, the original 3 of us, which was scary. But again, it almost brought the fun back of how I started again. And then we had a really good year in 2009. We actually returned to profit.
Before we go into that, then, when it was going down, what was it actually like doing the job? What changed?
There was just no vacancies.
So you were ringing up clients.
Just ringing clients, recruitment freeze. And I think because my natural aim to the job, I was very good at new business, wasn't very good at delivery, very good at finding a customer and getting commitment. And that's what was needed. And I wasn't doing that as much. I'd had 11 staff at the time, and I was sort of managing those. And I felt the people I had, they just couldn't break through doors, or they couldn't sniff out an opportunity. So it was so hard finding opportunities in those days that I got on the phones myself and did what I always did, and just, let's go and hunt for deals, hustle for some deals, go and get some, do the job. And then the following year, we
So what changed in 2009? Was it just that you
nothing really. It was still...
The market was still tight?
Yeah, it was still massive in the recession. But again, we were just working tightly again. It was almost like us against the world.
And you had less overheads. And did you cut the office down?
No, we still had the office. We still had the office because we were in a 5-year lease. But so we were rattling around there. But it just became fun again. And I suppose when things get tough, you resort back to the one thing you know, or the one thing you're good at. And the only thing I'd ever been good at was getting roles on and getting commitment and getting people jobs. I never professed to be some sort of businessman or some strategist or anything like that. I was, without being big-headed, I was a great recruiter. That's the only skill I had. So I very much went back to that, and we had a really good year. And we returned to profitability, and then we probably stayed at that for about 2 years.
Because it's a bit like, it's like getting a punch on the nose, isn't it? You don't go straight back for another one.
Yeah.
You kind of think to yourself, right, well, we've gone down now. We've got to kind of steadily grow this back up, rather than taking, especially when the market's uncertain.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that experience that helps you later on? Because I've heard a lot of people say, only the best survived the financial crisis, and only people who really wanted to do it did it. And did you learn anything specifically that has stayed with you since?
Yes, it's a great question, Sean. I'm not sure if I did, to be honest with you. It was such a sort of survival mode. You'd literally just go into survival mode because
probably what you learned.
I think
you can do it.
Yeah, you get, and I think I realised that if everything went wrong, I could still do the job. I could still turn my hand to doing recruitment. I still love doing the job, and I was still passionate about doing it. But half the time you haven't got time to think. No. You're not panicking. Well, yeah, you are panicking. You're literally thinking, right, if we don't get some deals on the board next month, are we going to be here next month?
Yeah. And I think that's important. I think when you're going from being a recruiter or any employee to then owning a business, and I've been through some of this in the last couple of years, like, you realise quite quickly that the buck stops with you, and you're paying salaries, and as much as that's it's flattery in the market, or we're growing headcount, we're scaling, there's also a hell of a lot of responsibility that lies with you at that point, and you've got people's lives in your hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, your life still has to come as a priority. Like, you can't keep people in a job if it means that in 2 months you're all out of a job. Yeah. You have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment where you said, right, I'm going in and doing that?
Yeah, and to be fair, I probably wasn't good enough at calling it too early. I left it too late, because I cared about my employees, and we were a family. It was great, and I felt that I didn't want to let them go, and I'd invested this time in training them, and they were under my care, etc. But I let it go too long. I probably let it go 4, 5, 6 months too long, because there was a period over a 6-month period where we were just hemorrhaging money every single month from that.
That's the head and heart fight, though, isn't it? Like, your head will have told you 6 months before, these can't stay, and then your heart's like, oh, maybe they'll turn it around, maybe they'll do a deal, and I really like him, and
exactly.
I know he's having a baby, or whatever.
Yeah.
And you start to. So, all right, so you turn it around. You had a really good year, 2009. What happened after that?
Yeah, and we started. So I think the scars of that 2008, 2009 stayed for a bit, but we started slowly growing again, and it was good. In 2010 and 2011, we started taking a couple of people on, and then I got to the point in about 2011 where I thought, I was living in Gerrards Cross, and I thought, right.
Is that Hertfordshire, Gerrards?
Buckinghamshire. And I got to the point, and I just thought, right, we really need a plan now. This has been fun. I've had a great 5 years, and I've had a tough 3 or 4 years, and I've had a good 2 years again. I really need a plan to actually sort of scale this company. So I took the plunge to get an office in Gerrards Cross.
You have to move the whole company there then?
Yep, so I had to move the company. And I knew that there was going to be, out of the sort of 4 or 5 people, and because I knew I wanted to move it, I purposely kept it at like 4 or 5, because I thought, I don't want to really scale it before I get to know where I'm going to stay. So I remember coming over, and then 3 of them came over with me, and one just for relocation reasons couldn't. And we came over, and then we moved into Gerrards Cross into 2012. And that's the time where I thought, right.
It's a nice little place, isn't it? Like a
village in South Buckinghamshire. No, it's really nice. And I live there, so that's... Yeah,
so is it walking distance to work?
Walking distance to work, yeah. So made a decision to go there. And then I started putting in plans. I thought, right, I really want to scale this now. I really want to make sure that we're actually moving. And we cemented for the next sort of 1 or 2 years, our market into purely IT sales. And we got to about 2014, and then we started really taking people on. We started getting up to sort of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Did you have like a cash flow number in your head, or like a reserve number that you had to hit before you'd start?
Yeah, we started putting targets into our heads, thinking, right, if we did X pounds, we'd trigger a hire, and then we started doing that. But also as well, we started looking at as and when we can find them. I think Gerrards Cross is not the hub of recruiters out there. So again, we were just looking for sort of talented people that wanted a career in wanted a career in recruitment, that we could train. And then we think we could give them the raw skills to actually be successful. So as and when we saw someone, we'd give them a go, and we might tempt them. We might just say, look, do you want to try for 3 months, etc. And then so we try to do that. It was almost like every sort of 3 or 4 months.
How did you find management? Because I'm a firm believer that not every sales guy is a manager, and I personally went through a journey to become a manager in my last job, and I think I did pretty well. I don't know if it's still really the one bit that I love as much as going out in front of people and talking and generating business, but I definitely know people that are just complete salespeople and they're not right for managing people. Whereas you kind of, so young, such limited experience, straight away you're your own boss. How did you go about managing people and learning how to be an effective manager?
Badly, very badly. I would say I'm a terrible manager.
Even now?
Yeah, terrible manager. Luckily, I don't manage anyone now. I've got Calum who runs it, who's the management. I
love the honesty though.
I found it. I was so inconsistent.
Yeah. Typical salespeople are though.
Yeah.
Because we're always thinking about, we live in the future. That's the problem. We all live in the future. We're always thinking about that next deal, that next business, and as soon as it's there, it's like, right, we want the next one now. Yeah. Whereas when you're with people, you've got to live in today, and you've got to be present with them. And I think that's so. What mistakes did you make?
Yeah, I was quite good at training them to do the job, but I'd just be inconsistent. I'd do things like, I'd forget one-to-ones, or I would. I'd say something, I'd do something, then I'd forget.
Yeah.
So just literally, I'm not very organised at the best. I'm not organised at all, actually, Sean. So the best of times. So being a very unorganised person who was very good at the job, but totally unorganised, actually being a manager, probably very difficult to work for. And I got to the point where about 2015, where I just sort of gave up. I thought, right, I can't do this. I can't manage anyone else now.
How big was the business then?
We'd got to about 12 people, something like that, 9, 11, 12, something like that. And I just thought, I can't manage these people. I can't deal with the requests coming at me, and I'd forget, and I wouldn't, you need to be detailed and organised, and I just couldn't do it. So I dropped the ball so many times. And one of the guys who I'd hired as a grad, who joined me, who was good at the job, but was very organised and always demanded responsibility and wanted an opportunity. We had a conversation one day, and I literally said, "Look, we've got to swap roles." I said, "I'll take your number, and so I'll go and do new business." But I said, "You've got to manage the whole company," which was. And
this is Calum, you said?
This is Calum, he's been a great asset.
I think Calum was one who reached out to us originally.
Yeah, and he demanded responsibility, and he wanted the responsibility, and it was a young age for him. He was probably only 23, 24, and he was going to be managing older people, but he was the one that wanted the opportunity, asked for the opportunity, and I knew would take the job seriously and would be consistent enough for people to respect him, and he was good enough at the job that they could actually say he's done the job, but he's going to be consistent as a manager. And we literally switched overnight. So everyone suddenly, who he was a peer to, suddenly reported to him, and then I.
Wow.
Then I didn't.
How did the business take it?
They loved it.
That's a sign it was the right move.
They loved it. It was probably a sign that it was probably long overdue. And we had as soon as he went in charge, we had our best year.
Really?
So we absolutely flew.
What did you do then? Did you go back to Billy?
To be fair, Sean, I did the first year. I went back to billing, and I enjoyed it. And again, being raw honesty, it puts you it sends you into turmoil, because suddenly, what am I doing?
What am I needed?
What am I doing here? What is my job anymore? I'm not managing anyone. I'm now not really looking after the clients or recruiter. What am I doing? And I really struggled with it.
What year was this then?
This is over the last few years. I've really, the last 4 years, when Calum took over, I think in 2015, and then we really started growing, and I found it very, very difficult to adapt to a new role. What does Mark do now if he's not managing Robertson Sumner, or he's not Robertson Sumner? And that's been quite challenging over the last 18 months even. Yeah. So, but what I've enjoyed more, and what I've always enjoyed, and it sounds so crazy to go back to 20 years ago, I've always enjoyed going to meet the clients. I've always enjoyed getting new business. I've always enjoyed getting customers, and I get a kick out of that. Yeah. So I tend to do that now.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. So, if the guys want me to come out on a meeting, I'll go out on a meeting. Or if there's a new business opportunity, I'll go out on that. Or if there's an existing client, I'll go out on that. But I don't get involved in any of the one-to-ones.
No.
I don't really get involved in any of the day-to-day stuff. I leave that to Calum, who's done a brilliant job of it.
And have you got, what's the infrastructure like in the back office now?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. Again, I had a guy that worked with me for the last... He actually told me the other day, James, to be fair, the last 8 years. So he started in almost like an accounts admin role, really. He started in that. And then he moved into doing all our back office support. And then he became the operations director, where he took over our accounts. Yeah. Everything non-sales runs through James.
Yeah.
Which was great, because not only does he know the company inside out, he's not non-salesy completely, he's not interested, but everything flows through him, everything non-sales, which I'm very lucky.
Yeah. So you've got, what was his name? So James. So you've got James in operations, Calum's looking after the people and the delivery of everything.
Yeah.
You're then focused on BD, but not. Are you sat there on the phones all day, generating it, or is it? Do you have to do that anymore?
No, it's not. I'm not cold calling or anything like that. No, I'm looking for threads on LinkedIn. I'm getting inbound inquiries, which is great, and calls, and people calling me. Or I'd go on an existing meeting as a service review and see an opportunity there. But I don't actually fill roles anymore.
No. So when it comes to headcount, you say, is it 16 now, you said?
Oh, I think 19, 20 now, I think.
19,
I think Calum wants to offer a couple of people today. So
really?
So
good luck.
So
good luck,
yeah. So I'll be finding out that tomorrow when I go back in the office.
So what type of people do you look for?
I think we've looked for
the kind that don't want to report to you.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think we've looked at the different types of individuals, but I think now we look for trainees, people that have got an aptitude to actually want to learn. And recruitment's a hard job. I think to get into recruitment and really want to understand the craft of recruitment, how to it's hard. It's not easy. Yeah. So we look for people that want a career, that want to learn, that are dedicated enough to go for those first 3 years. I look at someone in the first 3 years in recruitment, they're a rookie. They don't really.
Did you look for people that have come from other sales backgrounds? Or?
They could. We've taken fresh grads. We'd look at maybe someone that's been an estate agent or a sales role, but very rarely do we get anyone that's been
a recruiter.
We've got a couple in our business that have worked for other recruitment companies. Aaron's come from Michael Page, and Ian's come from a construction company. We've got one or two others, but the majority of them have either come from an IT sales background or a fresh grad.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, what's the plans now that you're at 20 people in 20 years? So it's been a steady growth. What do you see? I
think now we've got more of a plan in terms of Calum looking after the people, and I think that's been proven. He's been successful at that. Yeah, he's done a great job of making it not about Mark and his merry men and it just to be about me. He's made it a bit more about actually the people, which I probably as a manager couldn't do. So he's done a great job of that. So we've really concentrated on getting the cultural piece right, making sure that we've got the environment, the cultural piece. And now we've got that right, we think, yeah, we've cracked it. We've got a good office, got a great culture, we've got 20 people. We're now looking to sort of try and double that. We're going to take a real leap now. We've got,
what's the timeline on that?
We've probably got 18 months, 2 years left on our lease. We've only got headcount in our office for sort of 20, 22 people. So we're virtually nearly at capacity. So over the next sort of year, we're going to probably look for a sort of 40-man office. And if we get that and we can get out early, then we'll take a real leap in saying that.
Usually, if you help find someone for yours, you can usually get yourself out.
Yeah, so we're literally, Sean, probably exploring that at the moment. So I would say the plan would be to get that regional office round, whether it's outside Gerrards Cross or just outside London, that we can hold 40 people or 35, 40 people, and then just fill that as quickly as possible. I think when I've looked at before, we've almost filled the office what we needed and then sort of stayed put. And I think we could easily do that now. We've got 20 people, but now I feel like it's time to press on. We've had a great year. We've had a great year again. We're tracking on our best year. I feel like if we get the office environment and we really crack that environment and culture, we'd get a lot of people coming to us. I'd like to think we're, like every recruitment analyst thinks, we've got a great business. People like working for us. We've got a great culture, good commission structure, good earning opportunities. And we're really investing in our staff now, whereas before, when it was me doing it, in my early 20s, it was just more about
just getting
on with it and paying yourself. So the plan would be now to make sure that we're getting that office, making sure that the people we've got are liking the work and we're making career paths for them into management, etc. And then hopefully after that, if that goes well, taking maybe either a plunge abroad into America or Europe, or getting an office there and then expansion from there. Because I think we've got the platform now where, recruitment is global. We're doing deals all over the world now. And before we never thought about that much, but we've been doing deals in Sweden and Poland and Germany, and we haven't done any deals in America as yet. But those are the sort of opportunities now that we're sort of taking on and we're getting explored about, and we need to.
What's driving it in terms of like you've achieved loads? Like you've started a business 20 years from nothing, and you've got 20 people working for you. I imagine you live a pretty good lifestyle. What's driving the need to do it, to push that on, double that, and triple that?
I think it's just you can't stand still. You can't stand still. If you stand still, you're just going backwards in our industry. And I think if you're surrounded by ambitious people around you, that they motivate you to do it as well. Calum and Marc and Anthony, all the guys that work for us, they're all ambitious. They all want to see the company do well. And they want to see that we're investing in it as well. So I don't think you can just stand still and just sit there and just say, we're just going to be 20 people and that's it. So I think it's important.
There are businesses though that get to that point and just say, look, like you said before, you can get comfortable and be like, look, we'll just keep this ticking over.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the entrepreneur in you that'll always want more?
Maybe. I think it's the people you surround yourself, isn't it? I think if you've got ambitious people to surround yourself, they demand more. Yeah. I think if I go back and it was 3 or 4 of us, would I have the energy to do it 20 years ago now and really kick on? Maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But I think if you're surrounding yourself with people that are demanding more about you and getting excited about things and wanting the company to move forward, the natural plan is to move forward. You just have to. So I'm really excited about getting a bigger office. I'm excited about getting more headcount people in. I'm excited about going into another office in the future or going into America, etc. So that excitement comes out and people start riding on the coattails of that. So
yeah, true. What interesting question from my perspective is, what have you done from a marketing perspective? Like, because it sounds like for a long time it was just about pure sales,
and it was completely. And I think from a marketing perspective, we started doing trying to have an attempt at marketing over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, and we've done our first white paper recently.
Great.
Which is the battle of the benefits, where we're looking at the benefits of each of our clients and saying who's winning that. We did a salary survey last year, and we're trying to get some more content out there regular. So this year we actually said that we'd do 4 white papers. We would do some articles in CRM, which is our industry rag, if you like, and they've got their website. And we're also going to host a roundtable event at the end of the year, IT channel challenges, to get some sort of 10 CEOs in the room. So we're trying to, and we're really trying to push social media a bit more now. We're really trying to put content and video, and I've liked some of your videos, but I've started doing some of these selfie videos now and trying to put content out there to show that we're just not just chucking out candidates to get jobs. Yeah. We're actually sort of saying, look, we know what we're talking about. We've done it for 20 years.
Well, that's what it is. I think recruiters have always been in a really unique position where they sit between so many companies, and they don't even realize how much. I don't think most recruiters realize how much knowledge they've got.
Yeah,
they don't. Like, you're going in and you're dealing with one company and learning so much, and then you're going into a direct competitor and I'm in the same chat, and the next one, and the next one, and you could sit there and reel off names, people, commission structures, locations, systems, software, whatever. And when you look online, there's no demonstration of authority from these people. And I was just the same. And I genuinely, I'm so grateful to myself. I'm so pleased I started this when I did, because I think the last 2 years, LinkedIn alone has changed dramatically, right? The amount of video that you see now, and it used to just be job. And now people are making an attempt. And I think in 5 years, it's just going to be worlds apart from where it is now.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was at an event for the Recruitment Network I mentioned before we were on air 2 weeks ago, where James brought together a panel of people that have done different things from tax to finance to marketing to back office, whatever, about going global and how do you go abroad. And I think if you're looking to go to the US or any region globally, personally, I think marketing is a huge part of that now. Because if you think you've got 20 years experience in this market, you're 20 years worth of relationships, 20 years of equity that you can't always quantify it, but people know Robertson Sumner in your market.
Yeah, they do.
Whereas if you go to the US, potentially no one knows them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Marketing is a way you can reach thousands. It will never replace salespeople, in my opinion. It will never remove the salesperson, but it will open doors for salespeople. It will demonstrate authority. It will get you that. And if you use good systems, marketing automation systems and things like that, then you can also prove that the eyeballs are coming from certain people and certain locations and certain companies, and then in context, pick up the phone. So you would agree that from what you've said, marketing is something you're starting to look at?
Not starting to, we are seriously looking
But
at
it is crazy that a business can last 17, 18 years without really thinking about it. It's nuts.
Yeah.
That's recruitment.
Yeah, but I think now, marketing, content marketing now, it's probably my number one priority this year to sort out. We're looking at it where, are we telling our clients about our knowledge? Are we telling our candidates about, we know 20 different commission structures from all your competitors, and then we know how to do it, and we know how to set up teams and inductions and onboarding and retention strategies and attraction strategies. We're not telling anyone about that, and we've now started to try and tell people a bit more about it. But because we're natural salespeople, it's hard. You don't naturally think of that. But I'm looking at now where before I would dismiss marketing. It's like the colouring in department. Colouring in department, we don't need them.
Believe me, I was just as bad. I was that guy who used to ignore marketing, and that's hilarious. I started an agency in marketing.
Yeah.
But when you combine the two and you get it right, I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and as well, at the end of the day, the best opportunity is when a customer comes to you, they've heard about you. Yeah, I liked your white paper. I like this. I like that. I like that. And of course, the salesperson has got to convince it over the line. But I'd rather convince someone who's already come to me than convince someone who never heard of me. So, yeah, I think it's imperative now. And you're right, we hadn't really had a marketing strategy, or let's call it a content strategy before. But this is the first time me and Calum have sat down over the last 3 or 4 months, and we've been really trying to drill down it of how we're going to do it. Because even if we're getting content out to the clients to show that we're an authority in the market, we know what we're talking about, it just gives us a level of credibility. Yeah. Because we have got a lot of experience in it, but some customers...
And it also gives your teams something to talk about when they pick up the phone. It's not just vacancies, right?
Absolutely.
Can I send you this? Have you read this? What did you think?
Yeah.
I noticed you opened this. It's nuts because there's so many industries, including technology, that have been doing this for years. Like tech companies, Salesforce, they've all been invested in brand and marketing, and recruitment's been just ignoring it. But I think it's about to change.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the 40-man office, you're looking at marketing, you're looking at doubling the team, you're investing in the right people. What do you do from a personal growth perspective? Where are you getting support? Because I think as an owner, no one really cares about you. As in, when you've got 20 people, they're all worried about their own career. You've got to worry about their career. Who worries about you? What are you doing about that?
It's an interesting question. So, fun enough, I used to be a member of Elite Leaders.
Right.
I used to go to that, and me and Calum are joining the Recruitment Network.
Really?
So, James, you can give me a call next week because we're going to be doing that. So,
do I get a commission?
Yeah. So, I think those guys are good. So, I think we are going to be joining them next month. So that hopefully will be a bit of development, but. Listening to podcasts, Gary Vaynerchuk, listening to podcasts or Tony Robbins stuff, that's the only personal development I'd invest myself.
Have you got a non-exec director? Or?
Have had one. I've changed a couple of times, but I have got someone I can go to who's not in recruitment affair. He's actually in our industry who I can go to. But there's 2 or 3 people I'd consider as mentors that I could go to and ask advice for. But I think it's getting it from a variety of sources as well, and freshening it up as well. Yeah. I remember going to Elite Leaders, and I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed being the membership with John, who runs it.
Yeah, John.
But after a while, I got quite stagnant in it, and I think it's good to change it up. So there's a variety of things: is investing in myself and learning my own personal development, joining the recruitment network, which I'm going to do. But yeah, 2 or 3 mentors that I do.
Great.
As well.
And what's life like outside of work? What's owning your agency for 20 years done for you personally?
Well, I've got 3 kids now, so they keep me very busy. But yeah, listen, it's great. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. I've got a job that I massively love.
You say you're lucky, but you created it yourself.
Yeah, but I
believe you make your own luck.
You do, but I think there's a bit of good fortune on the way as well. But I'm in an industry that I love. I think it's a fantastic industry, recruitment. I think anyone that wants to go into a very varied industry, and it's dynamic, it's fast, it's changing every day. I think it's fantastic. So I'm in an industry I love. I work with great people. The team we've got are fantastic. Really, really good people. So
how old are your kids?
12, 11 and 9.
Right, so they're in a real demanding age.
Real demanding age. So, yeah.
What do you get up to with them?
All sorts. I've got 4 season tickets for Arsenal, so I take them to every home game. Got 2 boys.
You must have hated the end of the season then.
Yeah,
fell apart.
The Europa League, I find I'm banking on that now.
Were you an Arsenal fan even in Staines? That side?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I'm a City fan, and I get a lot now that I live down here. I get a lot of people who are like, "Oh, are you a real fan?" It's like, well, yeah, I was in '99. I was in Gillingham or Wembley when we were in Division 2 playoff final. I actually left the ground. So I don't know if you remember that game. It was the team that won that game in '99 were in the changing room at the Etihad this week in their old kit, the yellow and black kit from that day.
Right.
And United had just won the treble, like the unprecedented treble in '99 with the Ferguson team and that. And we went to Wembley, and I remember my dad, and one of my brothers and his mate, my dad's mate, went. And you're at Wembley, and 5 minutes to go, it's 0-0, and then Gillingham scored 2. Young Tony Pulis, and I was like, head in hands. My dad was like, right, we're going. I was like, but Dad, United just beat Bayern Munich. So they scored 2 in the last 5 minutes. He went, we're not fucking United, son. And they're not Bayern Munich. And then he dragged me out the ground, and we got about a minute out the ground, and you heard a cheer, and Kevin Horlock had scored. And then we got 50 yards down Wembley Way, and you heard it go, then the roof come off, and we'd equalised. And we ran back, and we got in our seat to watch and we seen the extra time and the penalties. I'm gutted I missed that goal, but
fantastic.
It's amazing to think where we are now.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And yeah. I mean, Arsenal, you must have seen some good and bad days. And 4 season tickets.
Yeah, for 4 club level tickets.
That's about 900,000 a year, isn't it?
It's £12,000 per year.
Are you joking?
No, 4 club level tickets we have, £12,000 between us. Well, wow. Me and my friend have them. You get free drinks at half time, which is good. Wow. So
drink your 12 grand worth.
Yeah. Yeah. But,
so you go to the football, you got kids.
Go to the football, and then I go to most of the world title fights. I'm going to the Anthony Joshua fight in New York.
Really? I was at an event called The Ultimate Boxer on Friday night. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
A friend of mine owns it. Or he's in the founding team. It's a prize fighter night where they're pros. They're not the Joshua level, and they have a quarter-final, semi-final, and final all in one night. It was over at the O2 Indigo. It was really good.
Yeah.
So any recruiters that want to go to an Ultimate Boxer event, get in touch, because I'll be able to get you a deal on that.
Yeah. So I love.
You're big into your boxing, yeah?
Yeah. Well, I've done sort of 4 white collar fights myself.
Really? Do you win?
I lost 1 and then won 3. So
it's a good effort.
But yeah, I've been training for boxing the last 7 years. I love boxing. So any fights, at the O2 or any world title fight, I'll try and go in Vegas or
get yourself around the world.
Yeah, so that's fun. That keeps you busy.
Sounds class. Well, look, we're drawing to an end, Mark. And I always end with like a bit of reflection. Again, I'm thinking, who's listening to this? I already know a lot of people who listen to this are going to be the guys who are in a smaller agency or a newer agency, or even not even started yet. What would you say or what advice would you give someone now who's thinking 2019, let's kick it on? What advice would you give them? What have you learned that they could benefit from?
Is to do it. I know that sounds really, I think a lot of people think about starting something and maybe have apprehension, but if you're going to go for it, there is only now. The time is now to do it.
It's never going to be a good time.
There's never going to be a good time. You can wait for Brexit to finish. You can wait for to get that paycheck or that commission structure or whatever it is. If you really have got that burning desire to do it, is to do it. But also realise now that there is more pitfalls as well. If you're not putting content out, if you are just thinking I'm going to rely on cold calling, don't be naive as well. So realise there's going to be a lot of arms to your bow that you're going to need to be able to do it, because it's not just cold calling and trying to get in the vacancy anymore. That's not good enough anymore. Yeah,
cool. Well, look, if any of my listeners want to reach out to you, you're happy for them to ask any questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
And LinkedIn, Marc Sumner, that'll be the best place to get you.
Yeah, Marc with a C. Yeah.
And if anyone wants to come and interview for your business, who's not going to start their own agency but they're interested,
definitely.
You're hiring right now.
We're hiring right now. Yeah, we might have. We've like I said, we're going to get this bigger office, but we would be very welcome. Anyone that lives anywhere near Gerrards Cross in South Buckinghamshire,
give them a shout.
Give us a shout. We'd love to have you on board.
Wicked. All right. Well, look, thanks so much. I loved hearing your story, and I'm sure that the audience will get a lot of benefit from that as well. Guys, if you're listening to this on the iTunes store, I would please ask you to give us a 5-star rating, or give us your comments as well. It allows the podcast to reach more people. I want to say a big apologies that I didn't release an episode last week. We've had a lot going on, and I'll be honest, I just didn't have time for it. But I am going to be consistent. I do have elements of what you said. I am going to be consistent. I've got a lot of episodes booked in over the next few weeks. So we will be every Thursday on the iTunes store, on Spotify, and on the website, going live with another episode of The Rag next week. See you soon.